Welcome to Dodger Fan Weekly. I'm Adele.
And I'm Anadel.
And we love the Dodgers. And this week we have a special guest. He's the director of the Internet Baseball Writers Association of America, the IBWAA. He writes for Rolling Stone and Forbes. He's a lifelong Dodgers fan, a true baseball fan, and a bit of a historian.
He is. A man that needs no introduction. Let's welcome Howard Cole.
Do you hate Don Mattingly?
No, I don't hate Don Mattingly.
Do you have anger towards Don Mattingly?
Is this a psychology?
Animosity?
I have anger at times.
Aversion?
Yes, anger and the 3 A's.
Hostility?
I have some hostility.
Ill
but
will?
only at times. Only when he does something really stupid, like sacrificing after a leadoff double with a batter who can't bunt. But,
okay.
So would you say dislike?
Or loathe? Do you find him repugnant?
No, I don't hate him. I don't dislike him. There are times when I want to wring his neck. Okay. But
I think that's a lot of
this is the manager that has just led his team to another National League West championship.
Yes.
And this isn't really the time to be
Mattingly bashing?
Yeah. There are guys on Twitter right now that they want him fired before the playoffs.
That's so true.
And I'm defending him. I have a hashtag defending Don.
Yes, we saw that.
Yeah.
And that stems from the good.
People,
what are the good things that Don does that you would say will lead us to victory?
That's a really good question. He talks to the media well. I think that's his best point.
Okay.
To be honest, he manages the game okay. He's really good for 6 innings when there's nothing going on.
Okay.
I'm worried about what he might do in the postseason.
Okay, you are worried.
And you always ask me what I think of Mattingly, and I want to know what you think of Mattingly, in particular in October. And you think this is going to be the year that he finally leads his team beyond the division, beyond the first round victory, beating the Cardinals or whoever it might be in the National League Championship Series to get to the World Series? Does he have that in him? Is this year that he does that, or can they win in spite of that?
Well, I personally have an issue with the phrase, they're going to win it in spite of Mattingly, because I feel like anyone who says that wins either way. If the Dodgers win, it's in spite of him. If the Dodgers lose, told ya. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, it is interesting, Mattingly's never won a World Series, even as a player, right?
It is interesting.
But
yeah, they started to win right after he retired.
That's true. Now, I feel like Don Mattingly can do it. Okay. And even he's proved it throughout the season that he can make big-time gaffes that people complain about, but the team is winning. And I also feel that the players have a big part of that, and if the players are going to play for Mattingly, I think they can do it. That's me. I think he can do it.
I hope so.
You?
That's a hard one because I am a huge fan, and I know when players are playing well. I know when managers are probably not doing the best thing.
Right.
And we talked earlier about hating Mattingly. It is situational, so it's not really a hate of the man.
Right.
But I believe there's a chemistry thing that has to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think this year for me, I feel that happening more. Mm-hmm. With the team and the manager. So I think that kind of thing can take them all the way through, especially if they start really gelling as the weather gets cooler. So
cool weather.
So my opinion is, because I bleed blue, I think he can do it.
Everybody clap your hands.
Now, do you think that sabermetrics have actually played a big role in how the team has turned out and where we are at this point, or it's really just a shot in the dark?
Well, it's not a shot in the dark. I don't think that the new front office is try to do that much that fast with that.
Oh. And
there are people that analytics types that will argue that players like Kendrick and Rollins and Turner, well, especially Kendrick, aren't really the types that those guys really like. But
interesting.
But Kendrick's really
Kendrick.
been a huge help.
And
they don't really like Jock as a center fielder. So when they talk about strength up the middle, they'll say, well, Rollins is 36. His defensive metrics are no longer good. Some of them will say they weren't ever good. They'll say pretty much the same thing about Kendrick. They're not that good, and even Jock Peterson.
But Howie Kendrick has been an anchor for our team. He's had an excellent season.
He's been great. He's been great all around.
Sabermetrics.
I'm very happy.
Well, going into the playoffs, again, talking about the starting pitching rotation.
Yes.
You know, how many pitchers do
Technically,
you
we have
feel?
two great ones.
Right.
Well, it's they only need 3 for the first round.
Right.
Which we have this.
I think they'll go with 4. Kershaw, Greinke, or Greinke, Kershaw. That's to be determined. And then Anderson and Wood. So Latos has no chance.
No,
and not Bolsinger as a starter. You don't think?
He might make it as a he might be in the bullpen. They might go with 7 or 8 guys, and we'll see about that.
And what about the bullpen, who is so
vilified? Well, we know Kenley Jansen will be there,
right?
And JP Howell and Nicasio, and I'm pretty sure Hatcher's been pitching much better, really well. He's been pitching really well too, and Baez hasn't. And of course, Johnson has really been a mess.
Right.
So they're going to have some decisions to make. But again, 3 weeks left. Maybe Yimi will start to struggle, and Baez will do better, or maybe they'll get Johnson turned around. Though I don't think too many people think that's going to happen.
Ethier has experience. You know, he's a veteran.
Ethier's played really well this year. He's had a lot of clutch hits, and
he's been very important to the team.
He really has.
And look how much Ethier has blossomed.
It's been a great Ethier year.
Yeah, I know. He's very dreamy.
If you had a crystal ball, if we gave you a crystal ball, and you could just predict one moment, a crystal ball moment, like the Kirk Gibson moment that might happen.
And if I were Hanley Ramirez, I'd drop the crystal ball on my foot. I see it being Kershaw at home against the Cardinals, 9 innings. Manning maybe comes out to the mound, and Mattingly lets Kershaw make all the decisions, of course. Kershaw stays in, says, "I'm staying in. Thank you, Skip." And maybe 125 pitches. He gets the shutout. Maybe it's 1-0. They beat the Cardinals. And Kershaw finally gets his big win, maybe pennant-winning win.
Wow!
That would be fun.
Crowd goes wild.
Look in the crystal ball. If we were to not make it, what would be the worst, most sad, most horrid play?
Yeah, well, it'll probably be Mattingly doing something really stupid.
Like?
Just a double switch that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Where there was no way he was going to use the pitcher for the second inning, and then he doesn't. He'll double switch Ethier in. And then they'll bring in a left-hander to face Ethier, and then he'll pinch hit for Ethier with somebody else, Van Slyke. And Van Slyke won't do the job. And then he'll put in another pitcher, then that pitcher will give up runs. Something really stupid like that.
Well, so we'll smash the crystal ball on that one. We don't.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on our show. You're
Thank you.
the man that people go to for information about Dodgers, about baseball.
Which is why we like to have you on the show, because it gives us some cred. We get street cred when Howard's on, for sure.
Thank you for having me.
And we hope, as we go into the playoffs, that you'll come back and be on the show for us.
I'll be back. I hope we go 3 rounds.
Terrific.
We do too.
We want to thank Howard Cole. We want to thank you guys for tuning in.
I'm Adele.
I'm Anadel.
Don't forget to tweet.
And remember, glove conquers all.
See you next week.